Greetings, and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I'm Jim, I use he/him pronouns, and this is the second session of our mini-campaign of Durance. This is a game about the struggle between two competing social structures on a prison colony in deep space, that of the convicts and the authority. Thus far, I have been playing two characters, because you each get two characters in Durance. I've been playing the Judge Advocate, Everett Kidd, and the Dimber Damber, the head of crime, Alice Haig. And it's been kind of interesting and tense thus far. We're going to go around, get everyone to say who you are and who you've been playing. And we start with Alyssa. Hello!
Hello! I am Alyssa, aka Origami Shuriken on Twitter. She, her pronouns. And I have been playing Sergeant Lee Watson of the Space Marines, working for the Authority, and possibly about to have her neck on the chopping block for some foodstuffs that have gone missing. As well as Remiel Jones, the Abbot, who is sort of the second in command under the Dimber Damber.
Yes.
Bad cleric.
Yes. Great. And Rock, hello.
Hey Jim, so I'm Rock, and I'm going to be playing Vegas, the gentlemanly halfway man, because nobody likes a middleman, so he's the halfway man. And then I'm also playing old Fisher, the one of the few providers of sustenance for the colony.
Yep. Excellent. And finally, Anti-Stud, hello.
Hello, I'm going to be playing Lucia von Sucro, an outlaw on the run from the criminals, the government, and pretty much everyone in between. And who may or may not have started everything last episode that slowly just spiraled out of control. Possibly, I don't know. And I will also be playing her brother, Anthony von Sucro, who is far less important and more or less just wants to be left alone.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, before we dive in, like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of the players, any of them can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that you're okay having in the game, but you don't want a graphic description of it, type an N in the Zoom chat, and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil. So it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if you're in the midst of intense role-playing and you think we might be worried you're really upset out of character, you can put an O in the chat to let us know you're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we say or do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that and let us know if we're still doing okay. And now, we return to Durance. Let's try using this one for a while. There we go. So I think that as we were talking, we each did a scene. We each proposed a scene as we take turn as guide going around. Last time we had things getting kicked off by Olivia von Sucro as Vegas was observing her, communicating with the locals on this prison planet that folks are on. Livia is a bolter, so is someone who is living outside of the law there. And seems to be communicating with these creatures that are kind of like big penguins. But they have a language and opposable claws. So there was a bit of an altercation, and Olivia basically paid for Vegas's silence, and with a handful of mushrooms, as I recall, which Vegas then took, agreeing not to say anything, ran off, and then we had, if I recall, that's when we went to.
Your important higher up person and
yeah.
Fisher, right?
Yeah. Judge Advocate Kidd talked to Fisher about trying to make up for the fact that the population of mushrooms, which is their primary food source right now, because everyone on this planet is starving. They did not plan this colony well. Went to Fisher and tried to sort of lean on him to try to get them to produce more fish, because we've got to make up the deficit somehow. And very kindly left a couple of Marines to help out with that, to ensure that it's done and done well. Then, of course, we had the kid was then visited by Sergeant Watson, who basically had called her in and asked her, if she had seen anything. She had, but she didn't say. She didn't say that she had, so didn't rat them out yet. Was told that she had 2 days to uncover something. Who was doing it? And then finally, we had a scene in which Alice Haig, the Dimberdamber, was talking to his second-in-command, Remiel, about this situation with, again, the foodstuffs being low, and told her at that point, just if you have to, just if you find someone, go ahead and execute them. If you figure out who's doing this, we don't have time. They then had Vegas come in, and they talked to him about information. Vegas then revealed what had happened with Livia von Sucro, which has, of course, now complicated the situation a bit, because now it's like, okay, great, this local hero is the one that's responsible, in the Dimberdamber's mind. Even though it was not necessarily them. Was Marines, I think, is what we said. Yeah, who knows? But so then that once again puts it to me as guide, since we went one full circle around. So the question that I'm gonna ask is, so we already know.
Might be scared.
Perhaps, but not for the reasons you're thinking yet. Perhaps. Because what I'm wondering is what happens when Remiel goes to lean on Anthony von Sucro for information about, let's see if there's been any contact with his sister, and also potentially to, if need be, use them as bait to draw the sister out. Basically, to go in and sort of ascertain the situation and see, lean on him, see what you can do. And that's what I'm imagining the scene to be about.
Okay, well, I can tell you right away it's going to be Remy approaching Anthony, because Anthony doesn't. He just wants to lay low. He doesn't want people to notice him. People do notice him because they'll up on and say, "Hey, isn't that Lucia's sister?" And then he'll just quietly duck, curl in on himself a little more, and just try to be even just slightly less noticeable.
Yeah, Anthony was emancipated, former prisoner, on the straight and narrow now.
Trying.
Good behavior. Let's see.
Trying. I'm trying very hard, and maybe it wasn't my best choice to go over to the authority in this colony at this point in time, but I'm sticking with it.
So, where is this happening, and what's happening?
Yeah, where is Anthony when Remy finds him?
I don't think we saw Anthony either, so go ahead and describe him when we
saw him. Anthony is probably on the shorter side, maybe like 5'2", 5'3". Short, scruffy brown hair. Probably spouting a few marks and bruises because, some people want to know about his sister. He doesn't have anything to tell. They don't believe him. And fights are kind of common in that case. And he's usually on the losing side.
Yeah. And for those just joining us, this is on an ice planet, so it's always delightful as we're trying to scrape out an existence.
It's a really nice place. We have good water.
Yes, excellent hydrology.
What's better than fresh ice water? Maybe slightly less fresh ice water?
Could we replace some of that with food?
Yeah, our druthers, you know. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm done interrupting. Go ahead.
I think he's probably essentially working as like the equivalent of a migrant worker on a mushroom farm.
All right. So, Remy will come down to the farm. I'm thinking like a nice waistcoat, sleeves rolled up though. We're gonna get down into the dirt and act like we're helping. We're just gonna schmooze a little.
Okay. Anthony is probably jumpy at the best of times and always trying to be wary of his surroundings, so he would probably look over, see you, probably do a double take, and then just try to move over to like the next row of mushrooms as subtly as he can.
Subtle, right. So I'll subtly work my way around the opposite direction and try to meet you in the middle.
He's going to try his best to make that not happen, but at a certain point, he knows, oh, okay, it's going to be obvious I'm trying to avoid this person, and they're an important person, so, yeah, and just begrudgingly end up meeting you there, because do they really have a choice in this matter? Do they really?
You look like you've seen better days.
Well, I have. I have, Mr. Abbott, sir.
Call me Remy.
Okay, Mr. Remy.
We're all just folk here.
Yeah. What brings you down here?
Well, I'm sure you know, I was, as I imagine we all were, very disappointed to hear about the recent discrepancy in production. I thought you could probably use all the hands you could get.
Thank you. And he just gives you this really confused look, like, what? Like, not quite realizing what you're trying to do, just incredibly confused that you're down here at grunt level, saying that you are helping.
You've come quite a way since we arrived.
I mean, a guy tries. But you try. Just gotta try just to live these days.
Not everyone succeeds. You've done well.
Thank you. Thank you.
It takes perseverance to stick it out when others might look for easier or perhaps just other solutions, other ways out.
And at this point, he stops, and his head just slowly turns to you as realization starts to dawn on his face. Look, I had nothing to do with that. Okay, that was not me. I don't know who did it. Look, it wasn't me. I really am trying here. Okay, I really am.
No. I understand. I understand. It hasn't been easy. It can't have been easy when your sister disappeared.
No, everyone asks about her. Everyone does. Is that why you were here? Do you just want to talk about her too?
I want to know if there's anything I can do to make things a little easier for you.
There's a few of the lags that, sometimes they get frustrated, and sometimes they just want a little more food, and they see me, the ex-con, as easy target, and you can see like a fresh bruise on his arm, and as he kind of turns to look at you again, you can really notice a big, massive black eye that he has on his right eye.
I imagine some people might resent you for pulling yourself out of where you've been.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. It'd be nice if that could stop.
Yes.
And he just looks at you like a dog begging their owner for a bone.
I'd like to help you, really, because we've all been there, haven't we?
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
We all want to make this work, to make things better.
To live.
Yeah. Yes. To have something to live for.
That's the ideal.
But we all have people we have to answer to.
I mean, yeah, we do, yeah. I seriously, I said that wasn't me. That wasn't me, and
I'm not saying that it was. I'm just saying I can relate. You have people you have to answer to. So do I. I've been where you are, and I hope that you understand that I hope that there are no hard feelings if I ask you if you've heard from your sister lately.
And as you ask that, he just goes still and quiet for probably a good 5 seconds before his back straightens a little bit from where he's stooped, and he looks over at you, eyes no longer. I mean, still a little afraid, but for the first time in this entire conversation, he has a measure of confidence. I'm just gonna tell you what I told the last 5 people who asked. No, I haven't heard from my sister. I haven't heard from her since she left. I barely heard from her while she was here. Ever since we got here, we haven't been close. And her leaving has just increased that. If she died, I wouldn't know until someone else told me. She doesn't keep in touch with me at all.
You haven't heard anything?
No.
Fair enough. Thank you for being frank with me.
Yeah, no problem, Miss Remy.
I will do my best to make some improvements around here.
Thank you.
And I will just sort of cast a knowing eye around the rest of the area, just to make sure everyone has seen me.
I like to imagine as you look around, there's just like half a dozen heads that just go back down to farming, to gathering up these mushrooms. And they're all working a little bit faster for some reason.
Whether or not this will make things better or worse for you, I don't know.
We'll find out!
I have a question, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So Anthony's oath is, I will never place my own safety over the people's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, how does Anthony view the convict ladder in terms of the people's freedom?
Honestly, at this point in time, he probably views the convict ladder as more free than the authority ladder. It's just that he went over the authority very early in the colony's days, like probably within the first couple of weeks.
Okay. Cool. I just merely asked this because that helps us know in what direction to apply pressure. Excellent. Good. Coolness. So it's over to Alyssa. What would you like to see happen?
I guess right now I'm still kind of playing it by ear.
I think we've seen every character at this point, so now it would be mostly just repeats.
Always a few different things you can do. Is like if you want to put a couple of characters together, figure out a way in which they lean against each other's things, or characters who we haven't seen together before, or what have you.
I have ideas, but they all involve your character.
I know.
I know that sooner or later someone is going to start leaning on Livia, and because from the convict side.
Probably, yeah.
And so that's
someone
the only thing that's in my
someone will have to try to find her.
That's kind of the thing. And then on the authority
side, maybe that'll be the theme of this episode: finding my other character.
Yeah. I had a thought, a question. I just remembered. I have been wondering how Livia's progress with the natives, how that is going, and whether her altercation with Vegas has had any impact on that.
It's been going okay. Talking with the natives has been kind of difficult. Communication has been really slow. And the altercation with Vegas has not helped. Now she's getting maybe half the meetings that she was before, and they're lasting half as long because now both on her side and on the native side, because for her, she wants as few people to know about this as possible. There's already enough people that probably want her dead. Finding out that she's talking with the natives isn't gonna help with that. And on the native side of things, okay, here's this weird two-legged thing, but it had this weird interaction with this other two-legged thing. So are these things seem to be actively infighting, and is that necessarily something that we want to work with? So now both sides of that situation are now acting overly careful, which is basically ground any negotiations to a halt. Because one side doesn't trust their own people, and the other side doesn't trust the other side.
I have actually a couple of ideas for spinning that into a scene if there's any interest, but it depends on unless that satisfies it, in which case we can keep it moving on. But
up to you.
Well, so one idea involves a scene with one of the with one of the natives, and the other scene involves someone from the authority side actually ending up, or you ending on the either on their radar or they're ending up on your radar. So it's again depends on how deep we want to go. Do either of those sound interesting?
I would be good with either of those.
Okay.
Who could she be with?
I think I know that speaking on one side, I think every one of the people on the authority side that currently are not being played by someone have an interest in a certain degree. They would each have a different interest as far as talking to Livia goes, and so it's there's a so it would be interesting no matter who I think ends up there.
The one idea that pops into my mind is Livia Fisher, because Fisher is one of the primary alternative food sources of the colony.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine he's probably had contact with just about everyone. Whether he wants that contact or not is up in the air. It's probably more that people approach him because, hey, this guy has food that isn't mushrooms.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't see.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility.
Yeah, no, that would be an interesting.
I was thinking of.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Jim.
Well, no, I think it would be an interesting meeting. I'm not quite sure how it would necessarily challenge the oaths, but at the same time, it doesn't it doesn't have to. We can just do a bridge type scene basically that sets stuff up for later. If you want to do that?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as challenging oaths are concerned,
I mean, for you, it would probably be Livia trying to get food out of you, which means it wouldn't be going to innocence, which would mean innocence going hungry, which is against your oath.
Well,
there is that too.
The thing is okay, so food, if she's trying to get food, it could potentially cause a shortage within the colony, which could be an issue as far as, not letting innocents starve. The other way to look at it, though, is Olivia escaping from the colony and leaving kind of, it plays with the definition of innocence, because she's going against the colony rules and laws, so she's guilty of that. However, if she didn't kill anybody and all she did was escape, then, from a certain moral perspective, she's not really guilty of anything. So if she goes hungry, then that also kind of puts pressure on the oath, because from his viewpoint, a lot of that, as far as innocence is concerned, can be subjective.
What was
so it depends on whether or not he thinks of her as guilty as far as having escaped from the colony.
What was Livia incarcerated for? What was her crime?
I never thought of that.
Why is she here?
Oh, what was her crime? So the idea of the system is that, anyone who's sent out to these colonies is more like a petty criminal, hasn't done enough to be executed, but not enough to be freed.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, there might be some murderers out here, but at the same time...
True, probably.
Yeah.
I think she was probably a burglar. Like, maybe 1 or 2 armed robberies, but has never been convicted of killing someone.
Hey, Jim, just a real quick question to go along those lines and possibly open up some opportunities as far as crimes are concerned. I didn't notice this in the book or not, but what about political enemies of the state? Folks who haven't necessarily committed any crimes, but because they spoke up in opposition of the authority.
Oh yeah, there would totally be.
I think those were the wreckers. I think.
But yeah, the wreckers are.
They're the lowest on.
They're doing that now. Prisoners who are kind of doing that kind of stuff now. But also, it's supposed to be an empire that we're coming from, so that could easily be the case. These could be political prisoners too.
Yeah. It says in the PDF that wreckers are political prisoners and troublemakers. Whether their beliefs are religious, political, or simply philosophical, their words infect other colonists and undermine the established order of both the authority and convict worlds.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I think those would be the political prisoners. Like, we're putting you in jail because we don't like what you're saying.
Right.
So the question is, I guess, what was Livia's position before she became a bolter?
Because she could have easily fallen into that category of having been a wrecker, having been a, maybe she was at a protest or something, and that's what she, ended up getting arrested for. I mean, certainly not something that would, necessitate the death penalty, but at the same time, if she goes to a colony and something happens, hey, she doesn't get made a martyr, and at the same time, she's not around to cause trouble. So that's an option. Not trying to push an agenda or anything like that. I just kind of making, a suggestion.
So just as a follow-up question, it sounds like, maybe I missed something, but it sounds like your suggestion is someone intentionally let her go free.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the suggestion would be is before she became a bolter, before she escaped from the colony, a possible option is that she could have been there as a political prisoner, and then she escaped.
Yeah. You're suggesting that instead of burglary, that you might have been arrested for political reasons.
Yeah. So she may have been arrested for, being protesting against the government or something. And the thought was send her to a colony world. If she dies out on the colonies, we're done with her. She's no longer causing trouble. And at the same time, because the government didn't execute her, she doesn't become a martyr to the cause. So she's not somebody that people can rally behind. So it's an excellent excuse to send her out there. It's just an idea. If you want her to be a burglar, then I would say go with the burglar,
I feel like also we could combine those if you wanted to, where it's like that there were burglary charges, and some petty amount of burglary might have happened, some armed robbery degree of that might have happened, but that's not really why you're here.
Yeah. But they were there, but it was trumped up as an excuse to put me there. Yeah. I'm liking that. Yeah.
And now she's become a hero for a new cause anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Applying her skills in alternative departments.
I mean, she could have, a burglary involved with political aspects. She could have essentially been involved with the future version of the Watergate scandal.
You never know. Well, let's go ahead then and jump in here and see what happens.
Yeah.
What was the scene again? Livia with Fisher, right?
Right. Trying to maybe get some food to help her from going hungry.
And possibly, I think from her side, maybe trade as a form of currency with the natives.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay. So I would assume Fisher is probably out on his pier, because that would be the easiest place both to get food from him and find him, probably.
Right, which also means, however, that she's going to have to do something about the 2 Marines that were left to guard him.
Yeah.
Which either describe how she temporarily subdues them, or...
I do have a follow-up question. Would Everett Kidd have continually posted Marines there after that meeting?
He would have had them. He's basically they're there to try to help get production done. It's not besides just they're not just there to stare at Fisher and make sure he fishes.
They're also fishing now.
Yeah, basically. So they're there to help with the fishing effort. So they might not necessarily be on guard the whole time. They might not necessarily be right there the whole time. They're not really guarding him per se, in as much as because.
Okay, so let me go ahead and ask this one, because
officially guarding him.
So if Kidd kind of gives them the order that they need to pitch in and they need to help, in addition to keeping safe, keeping eye. Okay. Yeah, I suppose that would work. So then, what I would imagine is that there's probably going to be a shack or something. There's got to be some kind of structure nearby that Fisher would be using as a storage. I'm figuring he probably goes ahead and there may be some limited cold storage there for storing some of what's been caught in order to keep it fresh long enough to take back to the colony. But I'm also figuring that there's probably going to be an area for supplies where anything needed to bait traps, anything needed to repair or replace traps, things like that. So I could imagine that perhaps maybe there's only one Marine keeping an eye on that particular shack, or not, like they could have initially been, but then they get pulled into helping, and then because they're doing things, maybe Fisher sees that as an opportunity to slip away. He's, hey, I'm going to get some supplies, and he goes to the shack, and maybe he spends a little bit of time, catches a smoke break, or a nip of I don't know, whatever we're gonna have here, crab whiskey or something. Well, no, this wasn't.
Yeah.
Last time we had Portobello whiskey, so I think this time around we're gonna have Lichen rum. There you go.
Yeah.
Lichen rum. Yeah.
That sounds cheap enough.
Lichen rum, whatever it is.
Yes.
I'm no biologist, so
The
however you
last thing I
pronounce it.
also want to just ask briefly is, do Fisher and Livia previously known each other on the colony, just basically from being at and working on the colony? So it's like, do they already have some kind of relationship? Basically, is Fisher one of Livia's contacts here, or is that not so much the case?
I'm not opposed to the idea. If Antistud wants to go ahead and go with the idea that maybe she has already on occasion, say like maybe there's a like a regular thing, like a once a month she stops by, he goes ahead and kind of I gotta be careful how I say this, because I remember how the whole whatever it was woodchuck thing went. Maybe he gives her, that's the wording we'll go with, gives her some some fish and some crab meat or whatever, but it's like a monthly thing, and there's a normal cycle to it. So maybe this meeting is out of sequence, which would cause a little bit of kind of annoyance to Fisher, or something like that. I mean, if that's a direction that you'd like to go into, I'd certainly be open to it. I think it'd be the way.
I'd be okay with it, because I mean, honestly, as the primary alternative food source, as I said before, you're just a good person to know. So she probably would have set up relations at some point, possibly even before she became a bolter.
Yeah.
So I could see that, yeah. Okay, I like to imagine as you're going to your shack to take your smoke drink and drink your lichen rum, she's probably in there waiting for you, and it was probably only maybe a week and a half since your last monthly donation, as it were.
Right.
So that makes it pretty odd. I'll let you describe how you would enter the shack. Your character.
Oh well, so I imagine Fisher would he would walk into the shack initially, close the door, take a moment, kind of shake off the cold a little. I'm going to imagine that the cold storage is going to be close to the door, along one side. Some of the bait and maybe fresh hooks are going to be near the front of the shack on the opposite side, and then towards the back is going to be where things like repairing supplies, as far as for traps and the other things are going to be. I'm just imagining that the importance is going to be getting the food in and out, so that's why it's going to be at the front. Mm-hmm. Whereas the actual fishing and trap supplies, that's something that may be able to take a little bit of time with, so those are going to be towards the back. Also makes getting them a little, makes it easier and more convenient to be back there to take a moment to kind of try and warm up a little from the cold. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine, he comes in, takes a moment, kind of shakes off the cold a little, looks around, kind of moves towards the back, and that's going to be where he'll see Livia at.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. Probably sitting between like two piles of repairs or two piles of traps, because she knows it's pretty much only you that's going to be coming back here. Anyone else is going to be staying up front with the food.
yeah. So
And as he would round the corner, she would just be looking over at him and say, "Hello, Fisher."
hello, darling. What can I do for you today? You're a bit early.
True. But I've need of some additional resources.
Well, now, wait a minute. What have you done with the last supply? You don't look like you've put on that much weight.
Let's just say I've been doing business with some people, and I need a little bit more.
Oh, really?
Really.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a shame. See, seems somebody's been skimming from the farms, causing a little bit of a problem with the colony's food supply.
Wouldn't happen to be those Marines out there guarding you, would it?
Well, not as long as they've been guarding me, no. No, it wouldn't. But, you've been curiously absent. As absent as the food.
Stranger things have happened.
Huh, indeed. So you wouldn't happen to know anything about why I'm suddenly having to work overtime?
Really? Is that what they made you do now? Is that
You
why
don't honestly think I have those two out there hanging around for the conversation, do you? Even the fish have gotten bored.
At that point, she can't help but not laugh and actually just genuinely smile a little. No, they're really not. I'm sorry that's happened, friend.
Yeah. So am I.
It doesn't have to be as large as the normal one. I would be willing to take even a quarter of the normal size, and I doubt I'll need any more until our next shipment.
Uh-huh. Well, all Fisher would like to help you, but there's a bit of a problem with the colony. I help you. I may not have enough for them.
Things are getting that bad?
Well, like I said, some of the food's gone. So someone has to make up for it. Otherwise, someone has to go without.
Fair enough. Could I offer you any sort of trade then? Maybe additional little information that maybe could help you catch a little better?
Now you're almost beginning to sound like that Vegas fellow.
If we ever get to that date, just shoot me.
I think that can be arranged. I've got a pair of Marines that would be more than helpful.
Seriously though, if you need help, I'm willing to help.
So I give you a little bit of food, and you give me something that helps replace that food.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally.
Well, not all information is perfect. Just ask Vegas.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of a reputation.
Just a bit. Is it a deal? Or is it a deal?
This food. Do I want to know who's it going to?
Outside parties. And her face is it's just a complete poker face. Doing her absolute best to be completely unreadable.
Outside parties.
She just nods.
I see. Well, look, darling, I'd love to help you. You know how old Fisher is. But I gotta take care of the people inside these walls. If I don't, well, you don't expect me to trust the governor to do it, now do you?
Don't trust him to do anything these days. Okay, look, how about... Okay, how about this? You give me a little food now, I give you the information, I give you a little extra food that I can gather on my own at our next meeting.
I'll give you an eighth of your normal take. You give me information, and if it pans out, the ones who don't go hungry will be the ones who pay you.
She stands up and holds out a hand. Deal.
All right. There'll be a little bit on the back side of the shed on my next trip back. I'll tell the Marine fellow to stack it there. No, wait. Yeah, I'll tell the Marine fellow to stack it there.
Good idea.
But likely he'll forget about it by the time he's back to the traps.
Good idea. Make him do the work. Thanks.
But you don't expect old Fisher to work harder than he has to, do you?
No, you always were efficient. Thank
Damn
you.
right.
Seriously. And I feel like at this point she would move in for a hug.
Yeah, why not? They've probably known each other for a while, and he's probably got that whole fatherly thing going with his age.
It kind of feels that way. I feel like that's a good place to end the scene.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Has that answered the question? I think it has.
I don't even remember the question.
Yeah. I think it was a what happens, but I think we're good.
Yeah.
But before we move on, let me just make sure I do this thing that I forgot to do at the beginning of last session, which I should have done at the beginning of the game. Is I need to set these dice to random numbers. So I'm just going to roll each of them, and then that way, when we have to roll them at some point, this is what they'll be set to. Okay. Excellent. So now we move to Rock. What do you want to see?
So what I'm thinking is as Livia is leaving the camp. I'm thinking that it's possible that her brother sees her as she's leaving, and so does Watson. And so there's a question there as to, would Anthony help his sister get away or let her get caught?
Before we get into that, what would Watson do upon seeing and I would assume recognizing this wanted criminal?
That's an excellent question.
Does she want to draw even more attention to herself? Because she's already been told, hey, you got 2 days to find the people who's causing this problem.
But let's see.
Convenient scapegoat.
On the one hand, convenient scapegoat. On the other hand, Livia's been surviving on her own for like weeks. She might have information that I can use.
Yeah. Would she be willing to part with it?
Who knows? Would Lee have anything to barter with? Probably not. But it might be at least incentive not to shoot on sight.
Yeah. I prefer that you don't shoot on sight, but it's up to you. Okay, so I imagine Livia probably Livia is just being less careful of the, hey, this thing panned out, and I got to see an old friend. This thing panned out. I'm feeling pretty good. Probably being a little less careful than she normally is, and Lee just happens to spot her. Maybe she's checking out on one of the farms, and that farm just happens to be the one that Anthony was working at. Maybe he works closer to the edge, and she's just happening to be passing by, and I'm unsure why Lee would be there, though. Why do you think Lee would be there?
Well, Lee is sort of investigating what may or may not have happened with the harvest. Plenty of people have motive. A few of us have had opportunity.
You don't say.
Who knows? Maybe the abbot is hoarding mushrooms.
I mean, you need those portobellos to make that portobello whiskey, man.
That whiskey don't come from nowhere.
I imagine that's going to be the label on it, though. Abbott and Portobello.
Wow.
Oh, this is great.
I'll give you the slow clap for that, sir. That's not to encourage that kind of behavior, but I will give you the slow clap for that.
Unless Lee also has to take a shift helping out with the fishing.
Honestly, that was the idea for the scene I was gonna have play out, Lee and Fisher. Because, I mean, what if one of the Marines just happened to be Lee? Or it was Lee's shift to go watch.
Sees you on the shift change.
Yeah, that would be good. You're on your way to your shift with to watch Fisher, and you just happen to see Olivia walking away from the shack, and it doesn't seem like she's noticed you yet. So what do you do?
My question, briefly, before we answer this, is and just because again, Rock being the guide here, I just want to make sure this is good with him. Is Anthony not going to be in the scene, or is Anthony going to be in the scene?
Well, my thought is that this would be the primary on this is supposed to be a confrontation. Whether or not there's going to be a confrontation between Watson and Anthony, because Anthony's oath is not placing his safety over the freedom of others, and his sister is essentially free, being a bolter. So
I have one thought, if I may. That might make it easier. So, just to say that as Watson has been investigating, maybe Watson is going to need to go and help out Fisher at some point. But I can imagine Livia might be in a position, without deviating too much, to pass by, knowing where Anthony is going to be, just so that she can see him from a distance for a moment. Being given into a moment of sentimentality after having received a tiny bit of respite from Fisher.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
So that might be the case in which she's spotted. It's like sort of go up and it's
Caring for her though, that it has been a while since I've seen him. Maybe, to hell with it.
Yeah.
And then just go.
Yeah. And it's not even a question of you're not going to go in and she's not going to go in and interact with him, but it's like just it's like, are you okay? This is the one he works at. Yes, he's okay. I can go now.
Yeah. So yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she would probably sit at a decent defensive position or a high rise nearby, and just peek over and look over the farm for like a minute or so, and see her brother, and just look at him, maybe like narrow eyes at seeing some of the bruises before eventually just like, what am I doing here? Why am I risking this? And then just getting up and crawling back down so she's out of sight, getting up and walking away. And maybe somewhere in that time frame, Lee notices her.
So what do we think happens?
Hmm.
And if we're not sure, we can go to the dice. That's always an option.
Yeah, they're there for a reason.
Good question. Well, she's gonna try to be... Lee's gonna try to be discreet. Like, if she's in the middle of something, she's probably gonna try to take a note of which direction she thinks Livia might be going. But she's going to try to wrap things up without, she's not going to immediately go chasing off, because if she draws too much attention, she misses her opportunity.
I think maybe in this scene, Anthony will notice Watson noticing. Anthony will, notice that it's his sister walking away. Maybe he doesn't see as much, it's like, but wait, no.
Just sees someone,
and then he's like, but, he kind of, it's like, looks like her. And then notices Watson noticing, and then Watson also notices Anthony noticing, and perhaps something happens.
I think with Watson, okay, so... Oh, that could be why she eventually leaves, why she leaves so soon. Okay, so Olivia's watching her brother. when Watson notices Olivia. Anthony, being careful as always, is looking around, sees this Marine who's supposed to be watching the workers off watching somewhere else. Just straight out of curiosity, looks back and sees his sister, just stares there for a bit, looks back at Watson, back to his sister, back to Watson, and then just crouches down and back down to the mushrooms, pretending that he didn't see anything.
All right. Well, I will look around, make sure no one else is watching.
Yeah, maybe get like a side glance from Anthony, but that would be it.
And then I'll wait a few moments and watch for an opportune moment to slip away. maybe call one of my mates whom I'm secretly investigating to watch my post for a minute. I've gotta take a leak.
So I think then that actually answers the question. Then it's that they don't come to blows at all. Nothing. they don't.
No, Anthony doesn't
Anthony and Watson
try to
don't come
defend
into
his
conflict.
sister.
Is
I mean, is that conclusive enough for that scene, or do you want to go further, Rock?
No, I mean, if he decides to not get involved, so I mean the thing is going to be is so the question. Well, the question then becomes is does that count as breaking his oath? Because his oath is that he won't.
Oh yeah, he sees her.
Put his own safety over.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. He sees
completely
Watson going
read that
after her.
wrong.
Yeah,
You see
he
Watson
won't put
going
his
after her.
safety over the freedom of others. So if he decides not to get involved and she gets caught.
Oh, I completely read that wrong. Okay.
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 So I mean, we can go. Hey, you know what? I mean, since this is all kind of like our first run through, I mean,
Okay.
I don't see a problem with giving an opportunity for a redo on that scene if you're okay with it, Jim.
No, time is immutable. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we
Now I have to completely
rewriting Anthony's oath?
Space-time continuum.
Yeah, just let me rewrite this character's entire backstory.
Well, I mean, if you've been playing him the opposite way.
I really have. That's what I've had in mind this entire time.
Okay, so you thought it was the other way around. You'll never place the people's freedom over my own safety.
Yeah, so
I'm sure that's in there. If you want, we could just flip it.
Either that, or we can redo the scene. It's up to you guys. I'll never place the people's freedom over my own comfort. Like that's close-ish enough.
Yeah. I mean, we can redo. Yeah. So, do you want to do that, or which way do you want to go on this?
I really feel like I should be playing to the oath, so I would be okay with redoing the scene. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll never place my own safety over their freedom. Okay, so sees his sister, sees his Marine watching his sister. The first thing that comes to mind is that I think he'd like try to start a fight, like maybe throw some insults at a worker that's nearby, like accidentally bump into them, maybe like pick one of the mushrooms that they're going to pick. Just aggravate people enough to start a fight to just distract this Marine.
I have another question based on this development.
Okay.
Has Anthony made a habit of causing distractions so that stuff could go missing? Maybe he's been helping his sister out?
I think 9 times out of 10, no. If it has happened, it's probably been on accident. But there may have been one time, very early on, like when she was just starting out as a bolter, that he caused a bit of a scuffle, got the Marines away from storage so that she could take like just enough so she could last a day or two out there. Not enough that would be noticeable, but something.
Convenient coincidence.
Yeah, convenient coincidence.
All right. She's Olivia. I get the feeling Olivia is probably not the only person that has been taking advantage of these squabbles.
Probably not. I mean, some of your mates might have, but like they're smart enough to do.
So now my question is, am I gonna watch and see what the Marines do, see if anybody's trying to pull some sleight of hand here, or am I gonna go after Olivia?
Well, that's a good question.
We can hit the dice if you want a bit of guidance.
This might be a good opportunity to hit the dice.
So Rock, as the guide, what you need to do is roll those. So you right-click on them, go to multi-sided and random side. On not all of them. Hang on. Wait. Before you do it, let me make sure I got this.
The dice tutorial, yay!
Yeah, you need to. And now back to the tutorial. Ask the guide to roll 2 of the dice, leaving 1 untouched. Its existing value does not change. The drives in the uncertainty triangle are then compared in clockwise order. If the die value for one is higher than the next, that drive can be used to resolve the scene. And so, which 2 dice do you want to roll?
We're gonna go with red and blue.
All right.
So, servility and indulgence.
So, right-click on on each one of those. Do multi-sided and random side. Okay, so this is interesting. Hang on, we've got doubles.
I do recall a doubles rule, but I forget the exact details.
So I've got to go to page 110, and so we have tied 3s, and the other die is a 1. Oh, good lord. Okay. Death amid violation and agony.
Oh!
Well, now.
So death amid violation and agony.
Yeah. I assume we're as far as violation goes, we're talking PG-13 stuff, but you know.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an event that happens during this scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that basically is, so like, in the event of a tie, special rules come into play, where, if any 2 dice tie, it says the normal rules apply, although there will only be 1 resolution option. In addition, some interesting new twist is added to the scene. Okay, so, and also the dominant drive on top of that then, is savagery, because that's the one that's higher than the next one in the
okay, well,
circle there. So savagery and death.
Okay.
Who's death?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna propose an idea, and everyone can accept it or reject it as they will. I'm thinking Anthony starts this fight, intending it to be a distraction. Only during the course of this fight, he bumps him or the person he's fighting bumps into someone else. They start getting involved in this fight, and just very quickly, this evolves into a full-on riot with some of the Marines, maybe not necessarily Watson, getting involved. And then at the end, by the time this is all entirely settled, someone is dead. Maybe it's one of the planters, maybe it's a farmer, maybe it's a Marine, but there is at least 1 death caused by this riot that happened completely out of nowhere.
And it's definitely a violation of the code of conduct.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me.
Yep. Yep. Yes, it is. Who do we think has died?
I honestly want to say one of the Marines, because they're the ones that are probably in uniform. They're the ones that may or may not be more feared or hated depending on who is working this particular plantation.
Yeah.
So it would be easy for a group of rioters to just, in anger, turn on this one Marine and just completely clobber them.
Maybe it was the one that.
I kind of want it to be one of Watson's mates.
Yeah,
just
I
because
kind
that
of
would
wanted to be the one that
dramatic.
Watson said to. I kind of wanted to be the one that Watson said to watch your post.
Oh, Watson wants to go check on Livia. Oh, that is great. Because now you feel guilty too.
Wow.
Oh, that is great. I love it.
Oh,
I mean, we're only going to do it if you want it to, Alyssa. I just think it's really dramatic.
I mean, yeah, that's probably what happened.
If you're okay with it, like I'm happy to change things. That's just okay. Okay, good. Then that's what happened.
Hey, Lee. Hey, Lee. What's your dead mate's name?
I'm so sorry.
You don't have to decide immediately.
that's wow.
Well, that escalated quickly.
I think that answers the question, probably.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd agree that, you know.
What did Anthony do? He accidentally started a riot and got someone killed.
Okay. So we are at about a little bit halfway, but we did get started a little late. Do we want to go one more scene and then go to break?
I'm good with whatever.
Do we need to go to break now? I'm good either way.
I'm good either way.
Okay. I think
mean, if we're at the end of a scene, it might be a good time to go ahead and do it and get it out of the way.
We're also almost at the end of a round. Antustud would be the next guide.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that's an idea too.
So yeah, those are just why I was wondering.
I'm good to finish off the round.
Yeah.
Good to finish off round.
So Antustud, did you have a question you want to throw out?
Not necessarily a question yet, but the initial scene I had in mind was between Lee and Fisher. Maybe it's before the riot, maybe it's after the riot, but I was just interested in seeing an interaction between them, because like her being one of his, Lee, sorry, being one of Fisher's guards, essentially, like.
Yeah.
I would just be interested in that interaction there, but
yeah, we could do that. We can either move it in time, or we can say that it's we could say it's a thing where it's like where Lee has not caught up with Livia, and as a result is perhaps ended up going to where she was
maybe I started after Livia, and then I hear the riot behind me, so I have to turn around and.
Yeah. If you're involved there, yeah. So we could.
That's a whole mess.
So this could be earlier, or this could be later. It can, however you want to do it.
Are we going pre-riot or post-riot, or?
Are we leaving in a pre-riot or post-riot world?
It's riots all the way down.
I know.
I kind of want it to be after, because now I have an interesting question.
You make me wish I had a quick function on my body.
What if before or during this riot? Because I'm assuming the pier is probably a decent distance away, so they can fish these hostile creatures safely. What if these pair of guards? What if they just got careless and started chatting to each other about recent events and going-ons and whatnot, and what if one or both of them happened to be one of the mates that Lee was trying to protect? and they, not even really thinking about Fisher being there, just started gossiping or talking to each other about what they had done that wasn't exactly legal. So eventually, after this riot, Watson is moved out there to cool off a little bit after that riot, because that could have been pretty traumatic. So let's move this person out here where nothing is going to happen. So and Fisher, let's say that Fisher, probably a decent number of Marines have come out here, like maybe fresh every like 3 or 4 hours, people coming out. So maybe Watson has been out here before, so you recognize Watson, and you possibly already know that she's one of the higher ups in the Marines right now. So seeing this higher up person, and knowing that some of the other lower ranked Marines are doing things that aren't exactly legal, is Fisher gonna confront Watson about that, and how is he gonna feel about the Marines, these other law-abiding citizens, not exactly being law-abiding?
I'm taking the food.
Okay. So the question is it's a confrontation between Lee and Fisher over the guilt of her mates.
Yeah.
Squad mates.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is supposed to be after the riot?
After the riot, yeah. Like, probably...
Because they can't really give you a leave from work or we'll starve to death, but they can give you a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Okay. And,
I've been demoted.
Cooler heads prevail. Where else are you going to find cooler heads than out in the cold?
Literally, go chill.
All right, so I figure during the riot, Fisher is going to have kind of kept an eye on things in case he needs to respond. But at the same time, he's probably going to have been, kind of trying to stay out of it, maybe using the fishing as an excuse. So I'm imagining that Fisher is probably still on the pier. Here's a real quick question: is with this riot, was there any kind of gunplay? Did the Marines use firearms in order to go ahead and help quell the riot? And were they using live ammunition, or were they using soft kill? Were they using like rubber pellets or something? Or like goop grenades or whatever? I don't know.
I think they probably didn't want to waste live ammunition on guard duty for something like that. And it took them by surprise. I'm thinking they probably didn't even go to the firearms until one of them went down.
Probably.
And then that probably just escalated things, so that there were a lot of rubber bullets being fired, and then more came in, got called in. The governor actually had to do something.
For once.
For once.
But it'll be fun if any of us have to play the governor now, because how are we gonna do after we've shit on this person for so long?
I know, right? It's gonna be great.
Yeah, probably it would be the Marines that would have any firearms. I don't imagine any of the workers would be armed in any way, shape, or form. So it would have been the Marines firing.
Just with farming implements.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so because that's just, I wanted to know whether or not there was going to be any kind of gunplay as far as, whether or not Fisher would have had to have kept a little low to the ground,
Well,
or whether he could have just stood there.
I think it was probably. I think Fisher's probably remote enough, far enough removed from that he wouldn't have to have necessarily worried about it happening.
You probably heard rather than saw it or heard about it after the fact.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then probably the Marines watching him at the time got called away.
Yeah,
when
because
that
hey,
happened.
we got something more important to take care of.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
And so this is.
So
all
then I would
calming
imagine
and-
at that point, Fisher is going to be on the pier, and Lee will be approaching to indicate that she's going to be taking a shift, helping out.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to start it off, or do I start it off?
So, Lee will approach the pier. Probably say, just greet him by name. Fisher. I've been assigned to assist.
Your turn to take a time on the pier, huh? What's the matter?
Yeah.
Lose one of your underlings? Don't worry. Chap probably could have done the job with his head full of lead as he could have with whatever it is you guys stuff in them back in the camps.
That's
Well,
fair.
let me show you where the traps are. And he starts to walk over to where some of the traps are. Man, try not to enjoy this too much.
No promises.
So, all right, so he's gonna lead her over to where the traps are. And, okay there, Jim?
We're fine. We're all fine here now. How are you?
Okay.
Don't mind us. We're just watching these sick burns.
All right. And then, so he's gonna lead her over to where the traps are kind of like hanging over the edge of the pier. And, they just kind of like, reach down, grab one of the ropes or something, look back at her, and he says, "See this? You give it a little bit of a tug. If it feels heavier than the last time, pull it up."
Simple enough.
Yeah, easy enough, even a Marine can do it.
Sure.
Go ahead, give it a try. And he'll step back for a moment and just kind of watch.
I'm gonna approach the line, maybe kind of side on, reach for it with one hand and keep an eye on this guy that's been insulting me this whole time. I'm just gonna keep eye contact while I test the line to see how heavy it feels.
Don't look at me. Look at the trap. You stare at me, and whatever is down there that isn't in the trap might trap you.
So I'll glance down at my work.
Don't worry about me, darling. I'm not gonna cause you no harm. There's another one of you, and it's just more work that I have to do.
You're a smart man, Fisher. I'll go
Yeah.
check the next one.
That's why I decided to pick fishing instead of administration. Or the Marines.
There.
So, what was all that noise about? Something important?
I can see what started it. It was a fight over the mushrooms.
Well, I didn't think they were having a birthday party.
Like I said, I didn't see what started it, but by the time I got back to my post, it was a full-on riot. One of my men went down.
Oh, yeah?
More work for me, I guess.
Well, not all bad. He's on leave. More work for the rest of us poor bastards.
Only retirement we're likely to ever get.
Yeah. I suppose you could call this retirement.
We'll sleep when we're dead, eh?
Did you know them?
The Marine that was killed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. In your squad.
Yes.
Eh. Damn shame.
He was a good kid.
Really? What you know of him?
He signed up, thought he was going to get an education, see the universe. You know the drill. Little hot-headed, maybe. Who isn't up here?
Hot-headed is one of the requirements to be a Marine. That and being naive enough to fall for the recruiter's lies. Song and a dance. I swear I think they hire them from acting troops. The recruiters, they is.
You might be right. I suppose now I know better, but it's too late now.
Man. Such as it is. All right. Enough gabbing. Get back to them traps. I got these poles to dance with.
Right.
And I think Fisher's going to walk over to where the fishing poles are at the end of the pier. And kind of go through, take a few moments to check them. And then after he's checked a few of them, just kind of turn back to look at Lee. Kind of almost like an evaluating glance as as Lee is working with the traps, and then go back to the keeping an eye on the fishing poles.
Question?
Yes.
Is Fisher going to press Lee about having overheard his previous guards bragging about stealing food? Because I think that was the initial question, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna wait a little bit, give her a few minutes to kind of get into working with the traps, kind of, give a little bit of a break from the riot. Fish is old. Nobody knows it. Fisher used to be a Marine. It's the reason why he's there. He was a deserter. So, the ones that were talking about the stealing the food, one of them was the one that got killed, right?
Well, we didn't establish that, but they certainly can be.
Yeah. I mean, I think it adds more drama, so we could totally do that if everyone's okay with it.
Well, let's say he's your Marine, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, having given a little bit of time, letting a little bit of time pass, Fisher's going to walk back over to under the guise of checking to see how the traps are. See how Lee is doing with the traps. Kind of walk up. Well, caught anything?
Might have a little something in this one.
Ah, good, good. So I understand that you're supposed to be helping Mr. Kidd with finding out who's been skimming the food.
Yep.
So, it's a bloody shame. A little bit of advice. Maybe you don't know your mates as well as you think. That kid that you're all tore up over was a bit of a thief. I overheard him talking with one of the others. You know, don't you? I can see it in your eyes.
Knew it wasn't the first time he'd gotten into fights. Knew there might have been an opportunity.
So there you stand. Marine of the Authority. Upholder of law and order. Letting one of your brothers starve this colony. making me stand extra shifts to boot.
What if he'd been innocent? Should I have thrown him to the wolves? Honor, maybe.
Well, now that would be an entirely different scenario, wouldn't it, Marine? You tossed dead meat to the wolves. Anyone with a soul wouldn't be stealing from others.
You're gonna tell the judge what you heard?
Well, now, that all depends on whether or not I have to. Personally, old Fisher likes it out here on the pier. Old Fisher doesn't like getting involved with things on those walls. So if somebody does me a favor, like telling the advocate themselves, "Oh, Fisher, well, now I can just stand out here on the pier doing what I do best."
It's my squad. It's my responsibility.
That's a good Marine.
I get the feeling that's not a compliment. But I'll take it.
At which point I think Fisher's just going to go ahead and kind of nod, turn around, and walk back to the fishing poles.
I mean, that answers my question. Unless Watson wants to do any last thing, I think we're good.
Well, I think that we're in a very interesting point here. So now we're going to go to break.
I think we all need it. I think we all need it at this point.
We'll be back in a few minutes after we're done biting our nails. See you shortly. We have returned. And we are now starting a new round. As more things are happening. And we'll kind of see where... Oh, crap, I should have thought of a question. I had a great, but I didn't think about a question. Let's take a look.
Okay,
I
so...
actually do have a couple of thoughts. Sorry, go ahead.
So, people who have gone this session are Fisher, Lee, Anthony, Livia, and Remiel. We still have both of your characters and Vegas.
Yeah. So, I think what we're going to do... I kind of... Yeah, we have put a lot of heavy lifting on Lee thus far. Part of me wants to see what happens when she catches up with Livia, but then that said, though, let me see here.
I feel like Lee's pretty preoccupied right now, so...
I think actually what might be interesting is Vegas and Anthony.
Okay, what question do you got in mind?
That's so. I think for all that has been going on, I think that Vegas has perhaps been doing some asking around and trying to find out more about things that are happening. After the riot happened, then there is perhaps a bit more of a trade to do. And so I feel like there might be something where... I feel like there might be something where Vegas can try to... No, that's not making sense. I'm gonna rewind, and because it's like I was trying to force a connection that's not there yet. It might make an interesting scene, but I don't have it yet. Never keep a profitable secret. I don't think that there's been much impetus. So we've already seen that Vegas has kept their oath on that. So maybe the acquisition of another profitable secret might be helpful here.
What secrets do we have that he could gain?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everything that we've seen so far this session, possible that Vegas may have seen Fisher putting some supplies out for Livia.
Mm-hmm.
We also said, correct me if the retcon changed this, but prior to the riot, Lee had seen and recognized Livia leaving, and so had
Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony had also seen and recognized Livia.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he started the riot.
It wasn't meant to be a riot, but yeah.
Now, the other thing though is did Lee see enough to know that Anthony had deliberately started that riot, or did Anthony start the riot and it was kind of outside of Lee's attention, so she didn't know that the riot was being started deliberately? She just saw that it had started, that the fight had started. Because these are all things that it's possible Vegas could have witnessed, and therefore, Vegas might have some information.
Yes. Lee did not admit to seeing Anthony start it.
Oh, yeah, but someone else might have. That's the thing. So
True.
That's a possibility, especially if a Marine is now... Okay, so a Marine is now dead. Ordinarily, in a functional colony, that would mean a crackdown. But right now, the prisoners pretty much run the colony. So basically, the Marines are pretty much, for the most part, just protecting the free colonists from the from the prisoners, I would think.
Yeah, I feel like they're almost errand boys at this point.
Yeah. So that's kind of a balance thing. That said, though, I can imagine that. I'm almost imagining that part of the effect, and forgive me for waxing general right now, but I'm trying to zero in from the general to the specific in a minute. But I'm imagining that something of a, I wouldn't call it a total turf war necessarily going on, but something where if the Marines are not going to take it well, I think, that one of their own got killed. I think even under the circumstances of them being like errand boys. So I'm wondering if this is a case where there is, where they are starting to push back. And so, if that's the case, and yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see. I am a. Yeah, okay. So. Oh! Alright, I have just figured out how a. So that's the environment, right? And so if we were going to do a Vegas Anthony scene, for example, this could be blackmail. This could be Vegas coming forward to just sort of kind of... how do we feel about Vegas doing a little bit of a shakedown to try to keep him from talking?
It feels very Vegas.
Wait. how do we feel about Vegas doing a shakedown
On Anthony.
of Anthony?
Saying Vegas knows that Anthony started the fight.
Okay.
To cover up that, to cover up something. And that someone, he heard this through the grapevine, right?
Right.
And so, if Vegas is going to before Vegas sells this information to, say, someone in the the captain of the Marines or the judge advocate, or perhaps something on the Dimber Damber side, if he thinks that there's something to some way to go in there. What if he gives Anthony an opportunity to purchase his silence? Since that seemed to go so well before. With Anthony's sister.
All I had to do was threaten to kill him.
Hey. Look. The fine young lady wanted to purchase some silence, and so Vegas sold her some silence. It just so happened that the Dimmer Damber wanted some words, and Vegas sold him some words. That's what Vegas does.
So my thought is, what is going to, will Anthony be able to convince Vegas to keep the secret, or will Vegas be, or otherwise? And I'm not saying framing that as that. Will Vegas can convince him to take the deal? I just want to know what will happen in that circumstances.
Okay.
That seems to lean into both oaths a bit.
So I'm gonna ask this as far as the approach is concerned, because under most circumstances, Vegas isn't really the direct shakedown sort.
You would say Anthony would have to come to Vegas?
Yeah. Vegas.
I have a reason.
Vegas doesn't go to people and threaten them. Yeah. Vegas lets people come to him, and then he offers.
Anthony saw his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And clearly there's something going on. He saw a guard moving toward, to go off and do something with his sister. So he probably wants to know more about that. He probably knows that there's. I have a feeling Anthony at this point might even suspect there's something up with the Marines, even in this environment, maybe. So there's the possibility of getting into that. So yeah, maybe it's that kind of transaction where he goes into try to see if there's a way to find that out from Vegas, or more information from Vegas about what's going on with Livia, and Vegas then takes the opportunity to sell additional silence. Does that sound good?
Potentially, I'm just not entirely sure if Anthony would take that risk, because that's going back over to the criminal underworld.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
As an emancipist, that's really dangerous. I mean, I like it. It'd have to be something really convincing to get him to do that.
Okay.
Well, so let me ask this: what if what if Anthony had heard that Vegas had been kind of talking, and that it sounded like Vegas was saying that, hey, that Anthony guy, he's not so clean cut as as everybody likes to think. He's he's still kind of dipping his toe in a pool.
Okay, yeah, that I could see. A chance to clear his name and once again make people think that he really is trying to go the straight and narrow. Yeah. Yeah, I think that could do it.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Vegas has been kind of like feeling folks out to see if this secret might have value by dropping hints, and that's kind of has gotten back to Anthony, and Anthony wants to stop that. And okay,
So I would imagine that perhaps maybe Vegas is maybe just kind of like walking along by himself, or we could be in a tavern somewhere. Where do you want this encounter to occur? What are you thinking?
Anthony would not want this to be getting out too much, so probably somewhere more private.
Right.
As a follow-up question, where would one most likely find Vegas?
Well, Nevada, of course. No, I would say it would really kind of like depend on the time of day. Vegas, because he kind of moves around a little bit throughout the community. So later in the evening, he's probably going to spend a little bit of time procuring something to drink, maybe kind of find a nice quiet little area where he can watch people but not necessarily be observed. It would be like one of those things where he's kind of like removed from the scene. Somebody could walk up to Vegas and they could conduct business without too many witnesses or anything, but at the same time he's also going to be able to kind of enjoy watching the others kind of mingle about. So I would definitely say that, like, if you're gonna try approaching him like late in the evening, he might just be off to the side somewhere where he can kind of watch whatever's going on. I mean, like if it's a pit fight night, then he may have like kind of a reserved little area, overlooking the pit. If it's nothing's going on, then maybe he's got just like a small spot where he can watch the communal square.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be an area that's going to be kind of away from others.
Yeah. Okay. Anthony would definitely try to approach Vegas at that time, doing his best to look more confident, but still pretty nervous as usual, because this is a well-known criminal contact. It's not someone he should be talking to.
Right. All right. Hello. Well, what have we here?
Hey, Vegas, I hear you have some information.
Well, yeah. I mean, Vegas always has information. Is there perhaps maybe some kind of information you're looking for? We narrowed it down a little.
A little bit of word that I've heard about me.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a bit more specific. Yeah, I mean, Vegas has heard a few things, maybe seen a few things. Yeah, I'm sure Vegas has information. Tell me, this might seem like a bit of a strange question, but what is it about you that you don't know that you'd like to know?
Well, it's more that, what you've been saying, that I'm not as clean as people think I am, that I might be up to something, which I'm not, because I'm not. I'm done with that.
Yeah, I got you. Vegas understands. Yeah, I mean, colony world, people are dirty, hygiene's important. Certainly we wouldn't want anybody to know that you're not as clean as they think you are.
No, you know what I mean, Vegas. You're not dumb.
Right. You're talking about your reputation, man. Right, okay. Well, I mean, at this point, you seem to know everything that Vegas knows. Or, is there something else Vegas should know? Something maybe you'd like Vegas to keep?
It would be nice if you could stop spreading things like that, and I can try to make it worth your while.
Are you looking to buy silence?
Yeah.
You know, it's a funny thing. Your sister bought some silence from Vegas once. Seems to be a bit of a family interest. You guys don't talk much or something? Is that why you're always trying to buy silence? You just don't like words, something?
When would you... Whatever. I just need you to be quiet about this.
Oh, yeah, I see. Well, you know, it's like I told your sister. Silence is a commodity. And of course, Vegas is a place you can buy commodities. So...
Well, the Marines, they like to think they're smart and that they're really careful, but, some of them, especially some of the newer ones, are on the plantations, they like to talk, and I've heard a little about, the missing food storage.
Yes, well, of course you've heard about it. Everybody's heard about it.
Pretty much, yeah, but no one knows who did it. Except I might.
You might have done it?
No, I might have heard because you just like when the Marines like to talk. They gossip. They talk amongst themselves all the fucking time when they don't think we're listening at all. And, sometimes they say things a little too loudly, and sometimes, one might say, that about something about a little secret stash of shrimps they got recently on the down low.
Okay.
Where?
Now, let me... Vegas just wants to make sure that they understand what's going on here. Are you trying to buy silence with words? That seems kind of a strange trade, don't you think? Not that I'm opposed. Vegas is always interested in any form of commerce.
Well,
it just seems a bit weird to give words in exchange for silence.
Well, it's information, right? You're keeping information, and I'm giving you information. That's a fair trade, right?
Yeah, I suppose. You give Vegas words of value. Vegas gives you silence of value.
Yeah.
Vegas might be able to use those words for a tidy profit. That sounds like a fair trade. I give you something, you give me something. We both walk away happy.
Yeah.
With something.
Yeah. So we got a deal?
Hey. You've come to Vegas. you can walk away from Vegas.
Oh, okay. Okay, deal. And he just hurriedly walks away, just not wanting as little time with this person because every single second is a risk.
I have a couple of questions.
Go on.
Do we feel as though this... well, actually, my question is, do we feel as though this is... We are at the point that this represents the breaking of an oath on one side or the other, or is that something that might be... that we're getting closer to? Because I'm noticing that so like... Vegas has just made a deal to keep a profitable secret in exchange for a more profitable secret.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is measured against the people's freedom per se, but it is something where Anthony's looking after his own safety. So I'm wondering how close we are. There's an argument to be made that we're not there, that the oaths aren't broken yet. But I'm just curious if we feel as though we're getting closer.
Well, the question is, so what's likely to happen to the Marines who may or may not, depending on, what words are traded for, what's likely to happen to the Marines that may or may not get in trouble? Would they be incarcerated? Would they be killed? Would nothing happen?
This is a great question. We don't know yet.
That depends who gets the information first.
We should probably play a little longer and find out how that happens.
Is it the Dimber Damber who never lets a theft go unpunished, or such advocate that never punishes those who break the law?
Yeah.
Right.
You're gonna get interesting.
So I mean, because
Yeah. All right. Cool. No, I was just checking in. Okay. So Alyssa, your go.
All right. Let's see.
Haven't seen Dimber Damber or Judge Advocate this episode. I would recommend using one of those just because I like to see everyone get some play.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Trying to figure out who they would want to see.
Yeah, that's the problem.
There's a reason to lean on almost everyone, so...
Yeah.
I mean, Everett is trying to find out...
to lean on?
Everett is trying to find out who stole these mushrooms. And, as much as he might hate to admit it, Vegas is a good guy for information.
Yeah. And we know that Dimber Damber has already leaned on Vegas, so let's give him some pressure from the other side.
Excellent.
Vegas just getting ping-ponged back and forth all over the place.
I feel as though Kid is not. Unfortunately, while Kid does have an office, the only people that he can summon to his office are Marines.
True.
Pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have a lot think.
Maybe not even them at this point, because it's.
Does Kid leave his office ever?
He does.
He did that
one time.
So he's gonna have to.
Well, I mean, this. You could argue that he's able to order Marines to.
Yeah, he could have one of or two of the Marines go and press getting Vegas into a meeting.
Yeah,
just trying to figure out how to have the scene without leaving the office.
The illusion.
Nice.
So
I think this will take place probably not in the office, because I don't think he wants to be seen doing that necessarily. But he's down some Marines, and the Marines are starting to get upset anyway.
Especially with that riot.
Yeah. So I think maybe. Yeah, I think maybe this would be. Okay, but there were hints that there were such things as a bar. I feel as though this is a bar that probably belongs to Remiel.
Yeah.
As a master of vice, yeah.
It's probably like the only bar, and I have a feeling the judge advocate does go there from time to time, and so this is probably where he's going to locate Vegas, because I think they've probably dropped most pretense of trying to maintain order at this point.
I mean, with the riot,
yeah, things are not great. So I think he's probably going to just walk up to him at the bar.
A question.
Yes.
I know Everett probably wants to go to him out of desperation for finding out who stole these shrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the riot? Is he curious about what started the riot at all?
I think you'd probably want to know for the purpose of, of whether or not it makes him have to do his job or not, which is, his whole point is to avoid doing his job, which is why he's trying to keep the colony running efficiently so that he can not have to do his job. So he does his job, just usually on behalf of like the Dimberdamber and stuff. That's pretty much it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's probably going to try to find that out, just simply because it might be helpful. And I think that maybe also, strangely, the kid is one of the few who has like a few resources to kind of pay Vegas with every now and then. So that's this could be a thing that has happened before. Although it's not necessarily pleasant, but we'll see. So I think if Rock, if it's all right with you, I think he's going to come up to him when he's at the bar.
Oh man, I don't know, Jim. I mean, you just made a comment about coming up to Vegas may not be pleasant. Everybody loves going to Vegas.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, man, I'm good with it. Let's roll.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, wait, here's a question. Is Kid disguised? Is he coming up to Vegas in the bar in a disguise so that he has some degree of plausible deniability? Or is he open about it?
I think people know that he goes to the bar. I don't think it's really...
Okay.
I don't know if it's necessarily that much of a secret. So yeah, I don't think he's trying to necessarily be furtive, because he's pretty much accepted his role as a rubber stamp cum thug, basically. And
that's going to be my next super villain.
Yeah.
The rubber stamp.
And so he essentially at this point is just gonna. I don't think that there. Yeah, who is he trying to keep that information from?
That's fair.
All right, well,
like the
I
colonists,
mean,
maybe.
I was just thinking that with the riot and everything going on having happened, so tensions between the Marines and the non-Marines.
That's fair.
So,
that's true. And this was on the So actually, he might only, if only because he does not have his thugs with him at this point.
Okay.
So he'll be wearing a hood.
I hate to have one follow-up question, and I mean this is just completely for flavor. Okay, so we have Lycan rum, and we have the Primo Portobello whiskey. That sounds like the good extreme and the bad extreme. So what do we have that's in the middle?
Well,
Gin, maybe.
Yeah, so let's see, what would be the equivalent of a gin, or maybe like an ale.
Yeah.
Like
Well, those both require growing stuff, but it's a possibility. It depends on like.
True. Maybe like
So if you have like a potato, you can have gin.
no, potatoes for vodka. Gin is juniper berries.
You're right.
Trust me, I know me alcohol.
Fair.
Well, what
Maybe
about
maybe it's vodka.
what about a prawn wine?
Oh,
A what?
fish.
Shrimp.
Yeah, like little
Shrimp
Yeah.
wine.
like an alcohol distilled from prawns,
Okay,
and it
I can see it.
Okay.
All right.
or like prawn ale.
Yeah. Something
Whatever.
along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So so he walks into the bar, and it's like he's got the hood on, but if the bartender probably knows who he is, because he's goes in there fairly often. It's just this time he's got a hood on. He has an ale brought out, which he's going to grab, and then he's going to spot Vegas. Where would Vegas be in the bar at this time?
I think Vegas probably has like he just hangs out at the actual bar itself, like down at the end of the bar, so he can sometime like when he doesn't have anything going on, he'll hang out at the end of the bar where he's kind of visible and easily approachable.
Okay.
But I think he has a deal with the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
It's a known thing. If you want to speak to Vegas, you go up and you ask for a cup of Pratt's sorrow.
Okay. Interesting. So,
And what the bartender does, is he gives you an empty cup.
Gotcha. Okay.
That seems fitting.
Before we dive into this, I just need a reminder of something. Alyssa, what's the question for this scene?
What
was the question?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the question is Kid going to Vegas to see whether or not Vegas would sell secrets, or was I wrong? Am I remembering that incorrectly?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're not drifting too far out of field and ignoring what we're supposed to be doing.
No.
Okay. All right. Cool. So he'll do that, and he'll order an ale and a cup of Pratt's sorrow.
Okay. And then I assume he goes ahead. He's at one end, and the bartender kind of comes down and places a cup of slug gin. We'll go with that. It's made from slugs that are in the lichen farms.
Why not?
So it's slug gin.
You make do
Because
with
it's slow. Because it's slow gin. So he puts some slug gin in front of Vegas. Vegas looks down at the end of the bar, sees Kid. And he goes ahead and he wanders on down with his cup, and just kind of right next to him, not really looking at him, just kind of like looking straight towards the bar, and looks over and he says, "Oh, mate, you're looking a little down there."
A word, if you please. And he's actually going to move and just sort of gesture toward one of the darker corners of the room.
Yeah, of course. And he'll follow.
Okay. They finally
So-
find a table over there and sit down.
Right.
Um,
So he looks and Vegas is gonna look and he says, "Oh man, I see you've got a cup of sorrow there. Tell you what, you've come to the right place. When people have sorrows, they come to Vegas, and Vegas helps them drown their sorrows." And at that point, Vegas is going to pour the slug gin into the empty cup.
Quite. Now listen, we have a problem. We have several problems now, in fact. And
So I've heard.
yes, quite. I'm certain you would have.
What?
I think that, but here the stakes are a bit different. You see, is so yesterday, the governor actually moved Marines from one place to another, had them put down a riot.
Oh,
When's the
yeah.
last time you remember the governor doing anything?
Well, I mean, Vegas can think of a couple of times when the governor may have done something or may not have done something.
It's always a bit vague there, isn't it? But can you imagine? See, I had a bit of a vision last night. Very disturbing one.
Oh dear.
A vision of
Do
our
tell.
governor suddenly sitting bolt upright and realizing that he has responsibilities and a job to do. That would be a very dark day for us, don't you think? We have a rather decent arrangement at this going. It's for those of us who must be here. At least what
Mate,
arrangement we
I
can have.
don't know if you've taken notice of this, but we're on the side of the planet opposite of the sun. It's been a dark day for quite a while.
Fair, but you see, perhaps the problem that I am having is the thought that someone's going to turn on the damn lights.
Well, now that would be a tragedy.
Wouldn't it, though? It affects you as much as me. You know?
Everything would change.
Quite. So, we need to come up with a way to make sure that those lights stay off. And I think that you might have somewhere in your orbit a piece of information that might help us. If not, at least to keep the switch off, to perhaps even go toward removing the damn bulb. You follow me?
Well, yeah, I mean, Vegas might have information about how to turn lights off. You know,
Okay.
I mean, have you tried a switch, mate?
Vegas, we need to put our heads together on this, you know that. Here's the thing. I suspect
I mean, I don't want to.
strongly that you might know, first off, who it is that, well, shall we say, moved us closer to the light yesterday. Who threw the
Are you asking Vegas if he knows who's responsible for the riot?
I am asking Vegas if he knows who's responsible for the riots. Got it in one.
Ah, yeah. Well, you know, it's possible Vegas might know that information. Vegas might have that information. Vegas might even be willing to trade that information. For the right price, of course. I mean, Vegas is a halfway man.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that much.
An honest halfway man at that. Not too many of those,
Well,
especially on a colony.
whichever half we're speaking to. I certainly have things to offer. As you are, unfortunately, it becomes a difficulty to offer you food because of, as I have in the past, as this is, of course, times being what they are. However,
Oh, yeah. No kidding. I understand that's been a real cut into the colony. I hear that
Right.
Fisher guys even had to pull extra shifts.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
son.
For all the good it's doing, yes. But I think that, yeah. Let's see, which bit are we trying to get at first? Okay. See, to be honest, I'm not certain how connected it is, this riot, but I mean, this riot having certainly arose from the conditions that we have. And the conditions that we have is that someone is taking the food. Now, I would like to know who's taking the food. I would like to know who started the riots. Ideally both, but I will take one or the other, at least for now. And in order to perhaps, and he will, let's see. He will, I don't know, in order to speed such delivery of such information along, well, I did say I don't have food per se. I don't know as this counts, but I do have something. And he takes this box out of his pocket. It's it's like a tin, basically. It's sort of a long tin. But it's a space tin, so it has a weird vacuum thing that happens with it. And he puts it on the table. Now, I should point out that in showing you the contents of this, well, there is also the contents of this, and the fact that I have it represents information as well that I would be trading for you to at least hold off, if as it were, on it. I don't know if I can get any more of these. I got this. Things are rather vital at this point, and I think that this might be just enough for you to perhaps even continue under a new employ as my information gatherer.
Vegas is going to look down at the tin, tap the cover of it a few times. Are these Altarian cigars?
Now, surely that would be impossible, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, as far as anybody knows, the last cigar that wasn't made from the local kelp weed was smoked a year ago.
As far as anybody knows, yes.
Yeah. Now, if it happened that these cigars if their cigars, of course,
Of course.
were made from anything other than the local kelpweed, well, now that would be very valuable.
Quite.
That might even be able to buy information like names of people that have done things.
Well, I'm quite glad you're reading the situation as well as you are.
Ah, well, me old mum taught me how to read straight up to the 6th grade. At least that's what the computer said. Yeah. Couple of things in there that I didn't recognize. So, 7th grade stuff.
Would you like to find out?
Well, of course, Vegas would be quite interested in finding out what's in the tin.
Oh, not just that. Yeah. Your personal details. You were musing about. You weren't sure, you said. It's amazing what one who has access to a functional orbital terminal can find out.
Are you saying that you might know where Vegas came from?
I might.
Vegas ain't worried about all that now. Vegas is happy. Vegas lives in the present. Nobody cares about the past.
Well,
But I
then.
tell you what, I think it's possible that Vegas just might know and just might be willing to tell you who started that riot, and just might be willing to tell you what Vegas knows about the missing food for a tin.
Well. He just pushes it toward you. I'm all ears.
Ah, yeah, like a field of corn. I gotcha. All right. This is what Vegas knows. Vegas knows that yesterday, just before the riots were going on, Vegas was snooping around to find out what might have been going on with the missing food. Vegas figured it might be of value to someone. And in doing so, Vegas happened to notice that there was an individual who picked a fight with another individual, all because that individual saw a Marine recognize another individual. An individual who belongs in the camp but isn't.
Ah.
Vegas also knows that that individual that Vegas saw pick a fight knows that Vegas knows that they picked a fight, because that individual came to buy something from Vegas. In exchange, he told Vegas who was taking food.
The plot thickens.
Like cold soup, it does.
Do go on.
Well, that's what Vegas knows.
I see. And are we not purchasing these names in exchange for this tin?
Oh, you want the names too? You said you wanted to know who was doing it. I just told you. It was an individual. Now, Vegas's glass is a bit empty. If somebody were to fill Vegas's glass with a bit of prawn wine, Vegas might also remember some names.
Ah, I see.
It's amazing what a man remembers when he's not parched.
How many glasses are we talking about here? Precisely.
Well, Vegas only has one glass.
Right. So, we fill this glass. And actually, and you know, strangely enough, this is, I think the prawn wine is what, in fact, what Kid ordered in the first place, and he hasn't touched his drink yet, so he's like, right, well then, fine, let's see what this yields, shall we? I do hope this is worth it. And he does reach over and he pours the contents of his glass into yours.
Vegas just waits for it to fill up, and he looks at it and he goes, you know, Vegas has always thought it's an interesting thing. The fuller a man's cup, the fuller a man's memory. Now, as it goes, Vegas has just remembered. The man who picked a fight goes by the name of Anthony. And Anthony told Vegas that he overheard some Marines chatting about the extra food they happen to have, procured without requisition, one might say.
Well, that is very enlightening. Good. Ah, yes. See, I knew we could work well together. Excellent.
Vegas likes to work well with everybody. It's what helps bring people to Vegas.
Indeed. Well then, I believe our business is concluded. Do enjoy the tin. And, where are you, by the way? And should you seek out some of that other information we discussed, that personal information regarding yourself, do feel free to come to me. But, should you want it, as someone who might want access to the kind of information that my sources can yield, I would say do remember, not a word to anyone about that terminal of which I spoke. I shall be watching.
Not a problem.
And he then gets up and leaves.
Okay, time for all new character. Great, awesome. Great. Well, the governor's space is still open. I guess I'll make the governor.
Oh, yeah. It's always always doable.
I would watch out. I think the judge might be gunning for the governor's office.
Maybe.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm more worried about Anthony getting arrested now, because it kind of sounds like that's going to happen.
It easily could. I don't know. So, do we want to try to do one more scene, or do we want to?
Up to you. I'm good with one more.
I'm fine.
I think I'd like to try and do at least one more scene before we close things up. So Rock, that would put you in the seat here for the guide. So what do you want to
Who did?
find out?
Well, I mean, I think I've had entirely too much of the limelight tonight.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we
haven't seen the Dimber Damber yet today. What is his response to the riot? And who would he talk to about it?
Well, I would think that his first inclination would be is to go ahead and talk to the abbot. But I was thinking Tony had like a really short scene.
With him, yeah, he really did.
So, and all things considered, there's certainly reason to suspect that Lee might go to talk to Tony. But let me take a moment to look that one over. Yeah.
I mean, I could see it, like the access would be readily there.
Oh dear. So
and I mean Lee could definitely do it. They saw his sister.
Now the thing is though is that I could see this as being the question will be is not involving the judge advocate or anything like that. This isn't like an official arrest kind of scenario, at least not initially. Who knows what it'll evolve into. But it could be one of those cases of Lee recognizes the sister. Lee knows that some of the Marines have been skimming food, but has seen Livia making off with some food as well. So maybe before she tries to decide what to do as far as who to rat on or who to talk to or whatever, maybe she decides to go and speak to Anthony about what she saw. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Is that a possible scenario, or
She might do.
I can see it. I'd be good with that. Yeah. Well, what's the question for the scene?
Well, so the question would be is if she's going to talk to Tony about the day's events, does Anthony put himself at risk for his sister's freedom, or does at any point Lee admit to Anthony that some of the Marines have been responsible for taking the food? There's an opportunity for either one of you to keep or break your oath.
I like it. I'd be good with that, yeah. So where is this going to take place? The plantation or farm makes sense, but that's also a pretty public area. I don't know if Lee would want to be discussing it there.
Probably not. So maybe after she has had her conversation with Fisher, she goes to try to find Anthony someplace more discreet, Because she knows if they don't put their heads together, this is gonna come back and bite them in the ass.
That's fair. That's fair. I think outside of that plantation or farm, probably Anthony mostly just stays in a little hovel that he has somewhere in the colony. And normally those places aren't super private, but because of his sister and the relation there, he gets a little more privacy, more out of respect than anything else. Like you may not be a person that we like or respect, but your sister we do, and because of that, we give you a little bit of that.
Okay. And Lee would probably not be in uniform when she goes to find him. She's trying not to look official or draw a lot of attention. She's dressed down a little. Maybe changed her hairstyle.
Okay.
So she'll kind of just try to act like she less like a Marine and more like just a citizen. Whether or not it works, who knows?
Okay. I mean, this little hovel probably has a door-ish thing you could knock on.
Yeah. So she'll go ahead and kind of look around, make sure there's not too many people watching, and then she'll knock.
Okay. It takes a little bit before the door opens, maybe like 10 seconds. Do you do anything in that time?
I think probably just kind of try to be aware of my surroundings. Make sure I haven't drawn any attention.
The door would creak open, and Anthony would just kind of poke his head into that little space and... Hello? I wasn't expecting anyone.
No, it's... I'm probably not the person you expected to see outside your door. Can we talk?
Are you armed? Are you armed, or do you have any visible weapons on you?
Not visible.
Okay, come in. It almost seems like it looks like he recognizes you, but he dismisses it.
Okay.
And he opens the door a little wider, so you just can step in. Inside, it's kind of messy. It's kind of dirty, but he's trying to keep it clean. But it's a messy area that he lives in. There's only so much he can do.
Yeah. She sort of just gives it a cursory glance. Not really. I mean, none of us really have nice digs anyway.
Sure, we're both pretty low on the totem pole.
Yeah. This is probably a little bit of an awkward pause.
just a little bit. Just a little bit as you step inside. There's probably a table nearby that he puts down the small knife that he was holding.
Take it you don't get a lot of visitors.
No. People tend to leave me alone.
At least not a lot of friendly ones.
No, anyone who does is It's usually something about her.
Well, you're not gonna like what I have to say.
Just say it, Marine. Just say it. I've gotten enough in the past week or so.
We were both there.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
You know, I know you probably get a lot of shit for being related to one of the most famous bolters in the colony. But people respect her.
I know. They tell me a lot. Ask why I'm not like her.
Not everybody can be like her.
No.
I don't know if I could do it. But I do now. With everything that's gone down today in the last couple of days, things are getting worse, and they're not likely to get better anytime soon.
Yeah, we all know that.
I'm preaching to the choir. I don't have to tell you. But she's been out there longer than most. Sometimes I wonder what she's found, what she knows. I know you can't answer any of those questions. I don't expect you to.
I thought she was dead until that. I thought what people were saying was just a myth, some legend, just something to compare me to.
I know.
And then there she was, right there, alive. How did she do that?
I don't know, but I think we should find out. It might be the key to fixing some of this. I know it's never going to be perfect, but what if it could be better?
She doesn't want to talk to me. She hasn't made any effort. That's the first time I've seen her, and I don't know why she did that, but
I don't know. But what if there was a way to... I don't know. Maybe we could try to communicate with the natives. Maybe she's found a way to make an alliance with them.
You really think so?
I don't know. Maybe this is all just wild speculation. Maybe I'm getting desperate because Judge is starting to lean on me a little because of everything that's happened. Everybody's got secrets.
So you do know that they were doing that?
I didn't know if I suspected a lot of things, but everybody's made mistakes here. I didn't want to accuse anyone unfairly, you know?
You gotta trust the people that you do have. And don't want to betray them. Connections, it's what gets you anywhere here. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Sorry.
Anyway.
All right.
If things get out, a lot of us are going to be in a lot of trouble. And I can see you still care about her. No, I wouldn't want to see anything happen to her either. Not if she's found something better than this. I know it sounds like I'm trying to blackmail you. I don't mean it that way. I just mean we've got to work together if any of us are going to survive.
No, I get that.
I don't know how we're going to do it yet. I just know we have to try.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't mean for that to happen, but I just saw you going after her, and
I know. I mean, I believe you.
I'm sorry your pal died.
I'm sorry too. What we can do is try to move forward.
Yeah. The sacrifice is worth it. I'll try to contact her. I don't know if she'll answer, and I don't know if she would trust me.
Like, you might have a better chance than I do.
She cared enough to check. If that means anything, I don't know. But I'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. do what I can to smooth things over if I can.
Some people might already know
Yeah.
about the
They'll
marine.
have
I mean,
ears everywhere.
no, there's Vegas. He was trying to make me look bad again, and that's rough enough as it is. So I went to him, and I traded names to make him be quiet.
Okay. Well, whatever comes down on me, that's on me. I know what I have to do now. I know what I have to do.
If there's anything I can help, I mean, not much here.
I don't know.
Pretty much everyone hates me. You might now too.
Try to stay alive.
That's the plan. Hell, even she's doing it.
Well, guess I should be on my way.
Don't want anyone seeing you here. I can't be the only one that's recognized.
Good luck.
You too, Doreen. I shouldn't do that. I'm not let you.
Who cares? It's kind of a sham title anyway. My name is Lee.
Lee, you know me. You know me. Anthony.
So you're around, Anthony.
Yeah. Good luck, Lee. And he just opened the door, not trying to make eye contact, and he manages it for a split second before he's just too ashamed and looks away again.
And I try to leave as discreetly as possible.
Ah, the sad people scene.
Yay! Sadness.
All the secrets come out.
I think I'm trying to decide if there was. I don't think that we actually had the oaths breaking there, did we? Or did we?
No.
I don't think so.
No, they kind of skirted around that one. I mean, that was
really towing the line there.
Really. I mean, if Anthony hadn't told her that he'd already ratted out the Marines, then that he would have. I think that would have broken his oath.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, that was wow.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was yeah.
Well, we have come to the end of our time, and so yes, this is very interesting because now I think we're at the point where pretty much the things deep conflict is about to hit, and I think that it's unavoidable now. We will see what happens.
I don't know, Jim. Are you sure that one more episode is going to be enough? Yeah, right?
I know, right?
This is the
there's one
part
more.
where he leans on us hard.
Yeah, that's really what's coming. I'm afraid is the next episode.
yeah.
There's
The Judge Advocate is gonna come down on everybody.
things are about to happen.
Oh,
One way or another,
that's
things are
gonna
about to happen.
okay. But we agree. We gotta have a scene with the Judge Advocate and Lee next episode, right? Like that has to happen.
I was so close to suggesting that the Judge Advocate was going to ask Lee to go and arrest Anthony and bring him before him, and have it out. But that may be coming. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I did find it interesting how the Judge Advocate never asked why Anthony started the riot.
That's true. But the conversation didn't seem to go that way.
But there was hints about a certain individual being spotted who had not been seen in some time.
Yeah.
I think he figures he's going to be able to get that out of Anthony. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, really, all he needs at this point is a name.
Yeah.
He can get the why and the how and the what and all those other questions.
He still doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he thinks he has all the pieces he needs to get that name, though, I think, at this point. So that's kind of where we're sitting.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next week. I'm excited.
Yeah.
As the drama machine will be once again reactivated and cranked up to several numbers past 11.
Yeah. Ow.
Well,
Ow.
we are going to go around and once more the reverse way and just say where folks can find you and any other thoughts about you thought of this session. And we will start with Antistud.
Hey, I'm Antistud. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Antistud. I mostly retweet cool sounding statements and nice art that I see. This session, wow, it had a couple of pretty tense moments. Most interesting, honestly, most interesting for me was playing Anthony because I didn't get to play him last episode, and the first scene was with him, and I was playing him a completely different way than what the oath read. So that was a rapid character change, and he went from a selfish, greedy bastard to someone who actually cares, and that was strange, but in a nice way. I liked it.
Cool, excellent. I like that we got to explore more of Anthony's character this episode since we didn't have him last time. So at least we got to almost everyone this episode. We'll see how things go next.
Don't
time.
get the Dimber Damber. We'll see
later.
how he reacts to things next time.
May have if he's still important. We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, true.
But we'll just see what turns out to be narratively important. And I think that's very cool about this game. It just sort of drifts in whatever direction it goes in.
Mm-hmm.
But let us then go over to Rock.
Hey, so Rock007, or you can find me as TVM Rock. Mostly on Twitter, I go ahead and I repost a lot of when other people are doing their shows and stuff. Just kind of boost the signal a little bit. So I'm working on my own stuff on the background, and eventually I will have something. But until then, it's, promote everybody else. So, I mean, as far as this game goes, I can't really pick a favorite moment. Jim, it's always fun playing with you. This has been a couple of times now, and love doing it. And then as far as Alyssa and Sir Antistud are concerned, like, both of you are just, that last scene between the two of you just shows. Both of you are able to project emotion and really just kind of carry the tension there. I'm still feeling a little guilty from the scene earlier tonight. So, as far as Fisher pushing Lee's buttons there.
Oh, so many sick burns.
I mean, I grew up with the military, and so I'm used to that kind of jiving and jibing and stuff. But Alyssa's ability to just with so few words be able to project emotion, it's amazing. And then this final scene with the two of you, and Sir Anti-Stud, you being able to kind of project this caring yet kind of trying to stay under the radar, and I mean, you guys are masterful, man. I mean, you kept the voices low and everything. It was just yeah, I mean, the whole game.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. You really are. That's what I love about gaming on Jim's channel, is meeting other gamers, especially pros like you guys.
You flatter me too much, man.
I mean awesome. It, bro.
Very awesome. Yeah, it is rare that one. Where does one get to do this kind of role playing? Where, I ask. This is awesome. But speaking of awesomeness, Alyssa.
Hi. Whew. This is kind of a tense session. I've really enjoyed it, though. It's been fun to go from last week just coming up with these characters on the fly, and then this week really kind of getting to sink my teeth into the emotion of the scenes and just kind of get into the character's head a little more. It's been really great playing off of everybody else's energy in the scenes, and just kind of listening and seeing where things go, and seeing what I can bring to it. So yeah, I don't know. It was all so good. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the chips fall next week.
Absolutely. And your did you give your contact?
Yes, and you can find me at Origami Shuriken on Twitter and occasionally on Twitch. Not usually streaming, but I pop into people's chats and promote other streams and hang out. And yeah, come chat.
Very awesome, very awesome. Well, this was a delight. This evening, it's really cool, and it just makes me that much more excited for 1 week from today. Is it Thursday yet? I think I must ask that. Very excited to see what's going to happen. Once again, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and the most recent short story that I've released. Here on this channel, Friday afternoons, Saturday and Sunday mornings, I play video games. Friday, tomorrow night, I will be over on Off the Table again, continuing their Urban Shadows 1890s campaign, which is still connected. The third season of the Sanguahona campaign. This one is The Claiming, and I am in the Midnight Crew, as we are the ones with ambition, shall we say. We're not evil, we're just misunderstood. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. That's at off_the_table. On Saturday, day after tomorrow, Saturday night, we are premiering here on this channel Invisible Sun. This is going to be a long-term campaign. We've got our players together, our Vizsli, and there are also, over the course of the campaign, going to be several guests coming and going. I think this is going to be very interesting. I am very excited to see how we build things up on Saturday, because that's what we're doing. We're doing our first session stuff, Session 0. So we're going to see kind of what sort of stuff to make, and really what the campaign's going to be about more than anything else. We're going to be using the directed campaign, but we're also going to make it our own thing. So I'm really, really just eager to get going on that. So that's Saturday night. Sunday early evening, we'll have a one-shot of 3 days until retirement. We weren't able to do it last week. We're going to do it this week. We have the players. If you want to see cops on the edge, getting ready to retire, and play on all those delicious tropes, hilariously, one hopes, that's coming Sunday. And then on Monday, I'm going to be over in the afternoon. I'm going to be over on Katie's channel. That's Katieface, Katyfaise, running the finale of Inspectors, the Inspectors campaign we've been playing over there. Again, that's paranormal comedy. There are a lot of sort of little threads that I'm going to try to bundle together and throw at them at the beginning, and then who knows what's going to happen, because the way that game works, no one knows until we get there. But that's going to be delightful. And then, of course, back around to Thursday, 1 week from today, the finale of Durance. We'll finally see what befalls this planet and the people on it. I cannot wait.
Dear.
Also, sign-ups are still running right now for Bad Streets. That's going to be next month's mini-campaign. Sign-ups are going to run until Wednesday, the 26th. So there's still time if you want to jump in. Scheduling is flexible. There are a number of different choices there. So feel free to dive in and say when you're going to be available, and I'll pick it from whoever intersects and just sort of figure it out there. So if you want to do that, you can click on the RPG sign up link below, or go to jim.com and click on game sign up, and the links are all there. Well, folks, that is that. Again, always for those signing up, beginners are welcome. When we go to the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to Wandering DM. They are playing Keep on the Shadowfell, which is something that I have not seen for a few years. And I think they converted it to 5e. So we're going to head over there. Feel free to stick around and say hi to them if you so desire. But in the meantime, folks, we are out. Take care, and I shall see you all next week. Farewell.